Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another midweek edit. So just before I start, I will just say, as always, or as more often than not, I've got Willow on the window, so if anybody drives past, just be prepared that she will start barking. So without further ado, this week's image is a little bit different. I'm trying to keep the images that I process different each week. It's not my usual close-up, this one. It's actually a wide environmental portrait, and if you haven't seen the film, I'll put a link above so you can go and watch that. So I think it was the third image in the sequence that I took in that film, and it's a wide-angle shot of two birch boletus mushrooms. So let's get on with that and jump straight into Lightroom. So this is how the image started life. Now this isn't a live edit, I have to say, on this occasion. I got stuck for time and I had to do the edit for the film pretty much straight away, and I wasn't able to film it, but I don't think this is going to be a million miles away from the original. So here it is. So we've got these two lovely birch boletus mushrooms. Just so we can check that everything is as it should be, I'll press the reset button, and that's exactly as it was photographed. There's a couple of things that jump out at me straight away, and it's this branch over the top. There was nothing I could do about that on the day. It is what it is, but hopefully I've managed to manage that as part of this process. There's a green stem there, there's a little bit of a green stem here. Now unfortunately we have got some out of focus leaves in the foreground. You could argue that draws your attention to the mushrooms, but personally speaking I would have preferred that to be sharp, in all honesty. But this was a handheld shot, and it was shot wide open, and I know that a lot of you out there won't mind the fact that the foreground is a little bit soft. I've seen videos where people have deliberately done that, but for me personally, I would have preferred it to be a little bit sharper. So let's do the first part of the edit, which is always the calibration. Sorry, not the calibration, the lens correction. So we'll just tick that, make sure that's done, and go straight into the basic panel. And as always, I'm just going to do my usual thing and just bring the blacks up a little bit, and the whites are actually okay on this occasion. We've got lots of dynamic range, enough to cover what we need. So the first thing I'm going to deal with is I'm going to sort this crop out and try and manage those branches as best that I can. So what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to bring that down to about that knuckle just on the branch there, and just bring that in just to there, and then double click. Oh, actually I'll bring the top up just ever so slightly as well, probably round about there. Just lift the mushrooms up ever so slightly so that we've got this nice diagonal running through the frame now. This one's lovely and well positioned on the third. Now that's made it much stronger, and what we've got now is this is actually helping to frame the mushrooms a little bit better. If I just go back one, you can see that that if I go to this one here, this space here on the left, this dead space, isn't doing anything. So we've removed that and made it a lot tidier. So the second thing that struck me when I looked at this is, because we're under a very, very green woodland canopy, we've got some green tinges to the these are what they call stipes of the mushrooms here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select a brush, and I'm just going to use the bracket key to make that a bit brighter, a bit wider, and I'm just going to paint over the top of those, like so. Nice amount of brushing, and then I'm going to go to the tint, and I'm just going to bring that away from the green and just cool it down ever so slightly. And that's made a big difference. If I just go to I just turn it off and turn it back on, you can see that's got rid of that greenish tint straight away. I'm going to lift the shadows. Actually, I'm going to just go into the blacks a little bit more. Turn the mask off. I'm just going to lift them up that little bit more, I think, and just bring those whites down ever so slightly. And I'm going to lift the shadows up just a little bit, just to give breathe a bit of life into this area here. I'm going to take the saturation down ever so slightly and bring the highlights just down a little bit. That's looking much better already. I'll just have a minute and just observe the photographs, just press lights out perhaps, and just have a look around, see if there's anything else that I need to do. I'm happy with the colours. I could just have a little play with the greens just to try and boost them a little bit. If I just go into the colour mixer, go to saturation, lift those up a little bit, give them a bit more punch, and maybe a little bit of punch to the oranges and reds as well. Actually, I'm going to bring that down a bit because these birch leaves in the foreground are starting to look a little bit too competing. In fact, I'm going to spot reduce the saturation of that ever so slightly by using spot reduction. And I think we are now ready for Photoshop. Didn't take long at all to get the colours right. So photo edit. What did I say? So hopefully that's the end of that. Into Photoshop. There's just a bit of cloning needs doing, and that's to remove this grass stem here. I'm going to use this basic remove tool that we've got here on the left hand side, and I'm just going to paint over it very, very crudely. It doesn't need to be particularly fancy because it's slightly out of focus anyway. Just let that deal with that. More than happy with that. And same down here, just increase the size of those brackets to get rid of that. And now there are a couple of places that I'm going to use the generative AI tool, and that's to get rid of this branch here. Press the generative fill, and I'm now going to just check the options to see which I prefer out of the three, and I think I'm going to go for that one. And then similarly, this one up at the top is really not bringing anything to the table. Just get rid of that one as well. Generative fill. And let that do that. And that literally is all that I need to do to this image. Just go to the blackout, just let's have a look at that. That looks really nice. And for those of you that have never seen the process, I'll just show you how I sharpen this. Just going to flatten those layers. Create a new layer, just drag it into there. I'm going to go to filter, other, high pass, and I'm going to bring the radius up till I see the edges of the fungus, so you can just see them there. Press OK, and I'm going to go to soft light. I just click that on and off. You can just see it crisps everything up nicely. If you look round about here, turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off. Let's go to 100%. Turn it back on, turn it off. Look at these beautiful markings on the stipe. Absolutely gorgeous. And there we have this week's midweek edit. Simple as that. Very, very quick process, nice and easy to do. Like I say, if you haven't seen the film, there'll be a link at the start of this film that I mentioned earlier. Go and watch that, and then you can see the mushrooms in situ. So until next time, thank you all ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.